This is the Knight Scholar of the Grand Archives. Although, to be honest, it would probably make more sense to call him the Knight Scholar of the Crystal Caverns. So, right off the bat, here's the build, here's the stats. We're soul level 54, we've got 32 intelligence, we have no attunement. We can't cast any spells, but that's fine. We just wanted the Moonlight Greatsword and magic and enchanted weapons. We're still a physical build. But what makes the Moonlight Greatsword so awesome in this game is it's all magic damage. No split damage, which is fantastic. We're rocking the crystalline helm and gloves, which cannot be upgraded, but they can be repaired, unlike most crystal stuff. We're sticking with the bow, the short bow, or the composite bow, I forget which one I'm using. But we've got moonlight arrows, and we've also got poison arrows. So, right off the bat, invading in the Duke's archives sucks ass. It takes forever. Here's the problem. Seath's jail is cut off from multiplayer, so you can't invade that little spot, okay? And you have to die when you fight Seath, unless you wear, like, you know, one of those rings, ring of protection, not ring of protection, ring of, frick, you know what I'm talking about, rings of revival. So, you're gonna die. The only time people ever use humanity and come to life is when they're going into the Crystal Caverns. So when you invade in Seath's archives, when you invade in the Duke's archives, it's literally just chasing people down to the caverns. Every time. They're either at the bonfire, not playing the level, or on their way to the Crystal Caverns. So you might as well just leave Seath's bonfire, step outside, kill a few oysters, clams, but you know what I mean. Kill a few of those things, and then invade from the Crystal Caverns, because that's where your opponents are going to be anyway, and if they're not there, that's where they're going to be headed. So, we've got the Moonlight Greatsword. We find an enchanted falchion in the Duke's archives that I've fully upgraded. I've got the Moonlight Butterfly Horn, which is a spear, and I've also got the Channeler's Trident. 16 strength and 16 dex allows me to use all those different weapons. Now, the falchion is, I'm sure you people have seen Ouroboros. When you're fighting multiple people, the falchion is an absolute badass. I'm not going to say much more about it because, to be honest, I don't want people to get better with curved swords because it's annoying as fuck already. So, having said that, just enjoy this footage of me killing this mage, and if you don't understand why or how I did it, I'm not telling you. Now, I've been doing this thing with, since I've made this build, I've started doing like quick weapon swaps on like all my builds. And that's just jumping back and forth between all the weapons. And you can do it as you see here, or like you saw at the beginning of the video, sometimes I use a backstep to buffer a running attack. When you open your menu, it actually cancels out your last action. But, for whatever reason, since, well, I guess it's because backstep's animation plays out over the course of like, you know, a second and a half or whatever, you can actually buffer running attacks with a backstep when you do your quick weapon swaps. That's what you saw at the very beginning of the video. That's what I opened the video with. And I've just been doing stuff like that. It's awesome. I'm loving it. I'm having an awesome time. The problem is everybody wants to play backstab souls or curved sword souls. And as a result, I'm not good enough to do anything other than play backstab souls back or curved sword souls back at people. So being inventive and creative and trying to do some cool stuff during fights it oftentimes appears to be pretty rough. Having said that, what I focus on in these situations, and what I always focus on putting up as far as, you know, in these videos, you're always going to see me fighting multiple opponents for the most part, because that's what I find fun, that's what I like. So you'll be seeing that, and that's what I focus on, is trying to beat multiple people with the tools I've got available to me. But sometimes that means, you know, curved sword R1 spam, or, you know, backstab souls. So I've got this is a magic claymore. This is what I beat the game with. This is what I beat the Four Kings with. Get the claymore, you can get it enchanted, magic, enchanted or magic, with Rickert, who is the blacksmith at the bottom of Firelink Shrine in New Londo. You can go to him and he can, you know, put a magic enchantment on your weapon, and that's what I used to beat the Four Kings. Then from there, you know, go beat Simone Ornstein, then go beat Seath, do the tail cut, get the Moonlight Greatsword. The quickest way to do the tail cut is basically hope that Seath doesn't put his tail outside of the map as he spins around like a fucking Roomba. And then what you're going to want to do is run up to him and like bare-fisted punch him in the belly. And the reason you do that is because it doesn't do any damage, but it tells Seath, his AI, the player's right under me. The player's in my belly. So his next attack will be focused on right near him, right in his belly area, which gives you time to run around and do some more tail cutting. You just have to sort of bait him out of an area where the tail is outside of the map. Also, when you go to break his crystal, his little immortality crystal, have him do it. You just stand next to it, he'll break the crystal. That gives you a few extra free hits at his tail at the beginning of the fight. So, I love this guy. This is my Knight Scholar. And when I made this build, I didn't really have anything in mind for him insofar as like lore goes. I just wanted him to be like a chosen undead who wound up partially crystallized and hanging out at he became obsessed with Seath and crystals and stuff like that and magic. But as I played with this character and as I did invasions in the Duke's Archives, I sort of came to this conclusion. The knight that we find who wears the crystalline armor, I have a theory here. Hear me out. I think that that's Miyazaki's like twisted version of the knight who goes to the castle to save the fair maiden. But it's Miyazaki's like vision. It's his version of it. So of course, what happens? The knight fails spectacularly and becomes crystallized because he invades us right before Seath kills us. Seath has to kill you that first time you fight him, right? So he invades us right there, but he's hollow. His armor description says that he's gone hollow. I think that's like in his own like fucked up way. That was the knight trying to warn you not to go there. And then when we find his armor, it's very near where we find Siegmeyer's daughter. I'll never pronounce her name right. Sieglinde or something like that. Sieglind. We find her right where we find the knight's crystalline armor. So it really does feel like, and keep in mind, Seath is, he's got Guinevere's maidens, he's doing experiments on them, he ends up with Rhea, the cleric, he ends up with Siegmeyer's daughter, he's collecting women and trying to turn anime real, and he turns them into his sluggy waifus, which is obviously a cause that I can get behind, y'all. Not turning anime real, but getting sluggy tonight? Y'all know I'm down for that. So, this Moonlight Greatsword is just like the Claymore, basically. Except all of your R2s are replaced with laser beams, which is cool. The laser beams are also, like, just incredibly hard to dodge online. You have to fight it a lot to kind of figure out how to get around it. Also, the bird that you hear chirping is a bird that fell out of a nest and I've been raising. His name is Chirpers, and if you go to my Twitter, you can see pictures of Chirpers. He's a good bird, but he's loud as shit. But the great sword it's a great sword. It does a shit ton of damage. It does a shit ton of poise damage, which is good against people who are sort of medium stacking poise, not heavy havels, but, maybe just under there, like Silver Knights, Elite Knights, stuff like that. The Moonlight Greatsword is two-handed, boom, stun lock, which is great. One-handed, you can stun lock, the people that don't put poise on at all, which is good, and some of the lower stacked medium poise players, you can get them with a one-handed stun lock as well, which is nice. However, the weapon is a greatsword and therefore is slow. So what I decided to team it up with originally was the Channeler's Trident, which is why I gave myself 16 dex and 16 strength. 16 strength for the Moonlight Greatsword, and 16, as you can see, that laser beam is hard to dodge. 16 strength for the Moonlight Greatsword, 16 dex for the Channeler's Trident, and then everything else just goes straight into intelligence. However, what ended up happening was I fell in love with the Moonlight Butterfly Horn. And the reason that happened is because, like the Moonlight Greatsword, it's not split damage. It's all magic damage. These weapons are fantastic against people who wear the Dusk Crown. If you're wearing the Dusk Crown ears, the little lopsided ears, oh, that's just fantastic. Because it's just pure magic damage. You're taking extra damage. I love it. PSA, all Syrian, however you want to pronounce it, all of these cosplays are just an excuse to use the gold tracer, and if you're not using it in the offhand, well, you're just another person using the gold tracer. Stop it. Stop it. Get some help. Alright. So the Crystal Caverns, as you can see, this is where I invade. I much prefer invading here. If you can tell me a place to invade in the Duke's archives that doesn't just end with me chasing them to the Crystal Cavern, if there's another spawn location in the Duke's archives that has a better spawn place and a place where people are actually playing through the level, please tell me. Please let me know. I would love to invade in that area. It looks great. It's awesome. It's got the stairway. It's got the Brian Eno jam playing. And I'll do that. I'll run all the way back to the jail, and I will turn that record on. That is my favorite song of all time. It's called Unrelenting Madness Horror on Snakeskin vinyl. And it drives all my sluggy waifus wild. They get riled up when they play that banger in the club. That's lore. What I've just explained, do you get it? That it's lore? I love this build. It's great. And if you wanted to, you could actually take this up probably like 20 levels. If you wanted to, you could fire this dude up, up to like level 70. Because keep in mind, this is post Lord Vessel, which means there's people here all at different level ranges. I always go kind of low. I always level up and kind of stop as early as possible because I want to increase my matchmaking as wide as possible. I don't care if I'm invading people who are 30 levels higher than me. That's fine. I'm fine with that. I just want the most invasions possible. So, one thing that's different about Dark Souls 1 PvP is I actually find myself really enjoying the 1v1s. I love 1v1s. Duels in this game are fun as hell. This is like Bloodborne. There's so much cool tech and weird stuff that you can do that I find myself really enjoying the duels, especially with people who are using weapons that aren't, Gold Tracer or, like the Dark Bead builds. People that are trying out something a little different, people that are actually like giving a go of the build variety that this game offers. I really enjoy doing the 1v1s with them. And also, I'm cool with fighting like the pro level backstab fishers, but I hate fighting the novice level backstab fishers. It's so boring. They just circle strafe, you circle strafe, the end, you backstab them. Now, the pro level backstab fishers, that gets old really quick to me. It just turns into loading screen souls, and I don't enjoy that. But I think I would prefer that over the 1v1 against someone who only tries to parry or only tries to circle, strafe, backstab. I don't know. Who could say? But my point is, I do enjoy 1v1s against people that do different sorts of builds. I'm having fun with that. So, while these videos will always be gank spanks, I just know that I am enjoying duels in this game. I think they're fun. Especially when you're playing somebody who's not, try-harding or meta-lording or whatever you want to call it. Messing up my weapon swaps on riposte. So bad. I'm so bad. Still, though, this build's a lot of fun. These weapons are a lot of fun. You can do, with 16 strength and 16 dex, think about, all the weapons you have available to you there, and all you've got to do is either, slap some magic on them, or slap some enchanted on them. Boom, headshot. Get the fuck off my level. Now, one thing I guess I should add on to that last statement about the duels thing is another part of my enjoyment of duels comes from fighting other twinks. I will never be a fan of meta level duels in any game simply because you have too many options at meta level. Meta level is there's no build making at meta level. You've got everything. It's like, oh, what level is meta level? In Dark Souls 1, it's 130. It's 130 is the meta level. Even though there's way less stats than in Dark Souls 3, which the meta level is 125. I don't know. You have to have 50 vitality, your damage stat, enough endurance to fast roll with poise, and it's like, at what point are we making sacrifices, and at what point is it a build? And you know what I mean? Like, again, I've said this before, for an old school RPG player like myself, and I mean like paper and pencil, Dungeons and Dragons RPG, part of your build is it has to sacrifice something. It has to not be good at something. That's what makes a build a build. So, you know, as much as what you have is important, so too is there an importance on what you don't. So from the role play aspect, I've always enjoyed this. Okay, so it's the Grand Archives. We got a little 2v1 action going on here. I've gone over the build, all the different weapons you can use. Always keep poison on you, but you get automatic chip damage with the Moonlit Greatsword, automatic chip damage with any magic weapons you make, any enchanted weapons you make. Let's talk about the difference between magic and enchanted real quick. I don't fucking know. It's like 3 or 4 AR difference on the Claymore between magic enchantment and, magic infusion, I guess we'll call it, and enchantment infusion. Enchantment only goes up to +5, magic goes up to +10. There's not a lot of AR difference. There's not a lot of difference in the split. You know, it's not, oh, well, one is more physical and one is more magic damage. That did not appear to be the case with the Claymore at all. They're like even Stevens, man. The only thing I noticed was taking the Claymore from Magic +5 to Enchanted +1 was the intelligence scaling actually decreased a little bit. Not a letter grade, but it decreased from, you know, like A scaling to A scaling with the color red, which means, you know, it was downgrading the colors. It was downgrading the intelligence scaling by enough. So, I don't know. I'm sure someone will leave a comment and maybe explain, and I'm sure there will be people in the comments who want to say, there is no difference, this game is broke! Whatever, dude. My bird laughed. So, let's say that you wanted to actually take this build up by the 20 levels I spoke about earlier. Things you could do with it. 1, obviously, give it more HP. 2, throw some attunement on there and slap some spells on, whatever you want to play with. If you put Dark Bead on my build, I hate you. More endurance so that you could get a fast roll. Maybe, you know, drop the armor down a little bit, or slap the Havel ring on and then slap a little more endurance on there so you get get yourself a fast roll. There's all kinds of stuff you could do with 20 extra levels, but again, medium rolls work fine. This is actually the one build I've made that just does not have a fast roll option. There's no, like, fashion I can go to that gives me a fast roll. Like, I've got my Chaos build fast rolling at this point, and I've got my Velka's Hunter build, which is also, we'll do that build next in the next video. That guy's also fast rolling. In fact, that guy's ninja flipping. So I am playing around a little bit, but I still stand strong, and I stand firm with medium roll. Medium roll did nothing wrong. Just learn what attacks you can poise through and what attacks you need to dodge. That is how you play medium roll, for those of you who are still wondering. There's going to be times you need to roll, there's going to be times you need to just tank it, figure out which times are which, and good luck fighting people who use, running R1 katanas, switch to something faster than a greatsword. The Moonlight Greatsword has always been one of my favorites. Across the entire series. So of course I was hyped to play it in Dark Souls 1. And that was, this was the second build I made, if I'm not mistaken, was the Scholar Knight. By the way, don't name your character Knight Scholar, because Scholar is a censored word. I looked myself up in the Book of the Guilty, and Knight Scholar is censored. So don't name yourself Scholar. It's bad. It's a bad word. Everybody thinks my name is Night Shitter. I'd point me down too. As far as farming and stuff for your weapons, the blue Titanite chunks you're going to need, you can get those in the Crystal Caverns. You're going to need to farm the golems to get those. You can also farm the golems in Darkroot Basin, which will help you early game against like 4 kings if you want to go ahead and level your, Claymore up. But I think the Darkroot Basin guys have a lower drop rate. Speaking of the Darkroot Basin, I tried to invade down there to sort of invade with the Hydra and with the golems that have Dusk, but no go, didn't work. You just spawn in Darkroot Garden for whatever reason, even though you invaded the basin. Good spawn points, Dark Souls Remastered! Alternatively, if you want to, protect the Moonlit butterfly, you can invade in that little area leading up to it, the staircase, and you'll spawn right there in that staircase. So that works. But most people you invade there are going to be sitting at the bonfire waiting to go into the forest. So, I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. But that's the video. Hope you like the build. Hope you like the fights. Chirpers, say later, y'all. That's close.